March, so it was a double. So that put a little bit of a pickup in comp cost of 630K, but this was largely offset by a pickup that we got from GEM for an entry for a payroll tax accrual that was booked in January for GEM, about 600K. This is what we're trying to get a little bit more information on from Kushbu to kind of understand where. I've tried to get a little bit more context. I'm not fully understanding it. It sounds like they should have booked the accrual to the local office, and instead they ended up booking it to the asset. And it kind of drove this 615K error in January, but was corrected in March. So we saw a little bit of a pickup there.
Yeah, yeah. Gaurav, from the QB Labs recharges point that you mentioned and otherwise the transfer comp adjustment, my understanding is that's not included in these costs. That is now part of the out of pocket itself, but it's just that now it's a separate line. We did those changes on the SAC and CPM front. I'm not sure if that's reflecting on your side.
That's a good point. Let me check that, because I see it come through, and I thought unless it changed, because I know they were making some changes during March, and when I pulled, I thought I saw it in the compensation cost. Yeah. But I'm happy to double check and see.
Yeah, right. And I think just one other point on the point to check with Kushbu is, I think my understanding is that instead of booking the accrual on office, they booked it on the asset department in December.
Correct.
Which is what they corrected in January. But then now, what they're saying is they have recorrected that in March. So it seems like two corrections are booked for the incorrect entry in December. There's something that is off, like which, and again,
right. Like what happened.
I'm not sure again if they're clear on the downstream implications, Carlos, to our one-on-one. I think that's a part.
Right. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I sent a note to Beth just to see if she has it, but she ends up defaulting me to Kushbu, who it was kind of like, it's kind of hard to understand that. I think the concern there is that it seems like they made two corrections in 26, which made our 26 okay, but does that mean they're going to make another one later on in the year that we're going to have to be ready for? So, like I said, I'm going to keep trying to get in touch with her. Obviously, if not, I will get to see her live in a couple weeks, and I will make sure to bring us up.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, in the interest of time, I know we're coming up. Let's go down to out-of-pocket costs here. Big thing for out-of-pocket costs this month. So higher than we've seen in prior months, but I think there's a couple of big things that came through. So 1.2 million out-of-pocket costs for Eclipto OS. So this is part of the near form entries, and Anshu, Meghna, I know Ashish, you guys have been involved in this. You've seen that there were some near form entries charged to client codes, which were not supposed to. They actually belong to Eclipto OS. So that was a big kind of hit that we got in March. So that's about 1.2 million in itself there. Overall, there was some just higher timesheet entries that came through the ledger for Lohika and ThoughtWorks, about 1 million more for Lohika, and ThoughtWorks is about 500K. This is both impacting GM&S. So they saw some higher EW spend. However, this was in period, so this is not anything that was, a 2025 cost that we hit, just some big hits for those months. So, I think it would just have to be a matter of looking into those invoices more. I guess we could check with Leandro on the GM&S side and see if that was something that was expected. But typically they were a little bit higher than what we saw in normal months. SCNF, I'm trying to get a little bit more on this, and maybe, I don't know if anybody on this call understands. I sent a note to D-Raj because there was a recharge that came through related to an S&P data feed recovery tied to MVI for SNCF, which is 732K, which that's a pretty high recharge that came through. You figure between that these EW costs that are coming through. I mean, that right there is almost $3 million, which would bring us kind of more in line to what we should typically see. So, obviously, just a couple of these things. That's one thing I'd just like to find out a little bit more on. I'll follow up with D-Raj on the 732K. I'm not familiar with S&P data feed recovery. That's what I saw in the line description, so I'd have to find out a little bit more about that. But just another kind of oddball hit that we had. And then obviously a big year-over-year unfavorable when it comes to cost. But a couple of those things that we have to think about is, we have that EW issue that we had from the payment deferral of 2025, which in January and February, everything kind of bled out between accrual reversals and the additional take. We had those additional costs from EclipseOS, and then one thing I noticed is that last year we kind of had a similar bump in Lohika and ThoughtWorks, but that happened in April of last year. So April of 25 looks high compared to prior months. So the timing could just be that we're getting those hits in March as opposed to April this year.
Karan,
I have one thing to say there. Sorry, Anshu.
Yeah.
Now we have the budget data plan numbers in the GL data, so it will be great if we can have a plan comparison as well going forward. Therefore, the compensation and out of pocket and the fees is not relevant, but for the cost side as well there.
Oh, so we can pull the plan numbers into this in SAC?
Yes, it's uploaded there.
Okay.
And can you share the link of this slides after the call, just for my curiosity?
Yes, I'll have Aman send that over to you.
Okay.
Carlos, 2 points,
quick
ones on that. Maybe just on the SNCF one, I know you're getting more details. So as you engage with probably FL may know that. I think for SNCF it's Marek. No, for SNCF it's Miguel, right? So Miguel,
that's right. He's new. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he can help connect the dots and maybe also consider if this needs to be a split over 3 months. Is it the last 3 months or the next 3 months? If there's a need to split this. One other point I have on this page is the external worker costs in the other category, these amounts. These used to be within others are I think those expenses that are booked without any charge code. And these amounts all used to be typically pretty small in the last year. But we have pretty significant amount here. Something looks off as to why
I think what happened there is that because of the way this whole EW deferral happened, we booked a lot of accruals. We ended up having to book quite a chunk of accruals, which wasn't something that we had last year, right? Where we tried to accrue anywhere, I think because the total impact to assets was 13 million and we accrued about 11 million. So we see a much larger number in this other, because correct, any of the accruals that we book, we're not booking against charge codes. And I think that's what's happening in January and February. But I can certainly take a look closer at that. But that definitely does look funny.
Got it. I mean, because that would mean that we still have 9.3 million in accruals in EWs, right? Which is a lot. Maybe there's a rationale for that, but if we booked 6 and 6 million reverse 3, then we are still sitting with 9 million in accruals, right?
Well, I think what happens is because it's not blended in, right? It's in theory, some of this negative cost should go against product development and running. These should really be close to zero. But yeah, it makes it a little bit tougher to read because of the...
Yeah, actually what's happening is, and why we are all asking Ashish also saying something on this, because we are getting a question from Central FP&A as Jim is putting together pages for the firm leaders. There is actually a very large increase in assets, EW expenses, out of pocket overall. We know partly it's because of the last year cost and all, but I think there's still some other amounts also. So Ashish is trying to share some details with Jim today. So I think if there are any follow-up questions and by that time we have more insights, would be just helpful to share. Yeah.
And I think too, kind of like what we talked about last week, Anshu, I think this I think this even more lends credence to getting this accrual centralized, because I think if we can get it centralized, they might be able to book against a charge code, and then this becomes a nil. We start to see them actually flowing in the correct. And we've engaged Ty already, so we're gonna try to push for that as much as possible to get that here the next.
Yeah, sounds good.
I have a hard stop. I apologize. I have to drop for another call, but we'll share this with you folks, and then I'll take a follow. I'll look at the follow up items that we've got.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, folks. Have a great day.
Bye.
Yeah.